We're going to take a look at ASP. ASP is the language that we're going to use in this class to be able to do our project, to practice our other systems analysis skills and whatnot. The tool we're actually going to use is Microsoft Visual Web Developer 2010 Express. And this is a free tool from Microsoft. You can download it. If you get on Icon under the Classroom Resources page, there's a link, a direct link to go be able to download Web Developer 2010 Express. When you install this, you get the tool that you actually use for building the ASP. It also installs a little mini web server. Remember, ASP pages, we can't just double click them and have them open in our browser. They need the web server to pass them to the ASP engine and take action on the code behind that we have in there. So we actually need a web server to do that. So this installs a little mini web server. It starts up when you open the tool and it closes when you close the tool. So it's not on all the time or hanging around. It also installs SQL 2008, I believe, Express. And the purpose of that is so that you can do databases and be able to connect to them and those kinds of things. So when you first open the tool, you'll probably be greeted with the start page. We can just cancel that out. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to create a new website. So we're going to go to File, New Website. We're going to do all of our programming in here in Visual Basic, so make sure Visual Basic is selected. And we're going to choose an empty website. Next thing we need to tell it is where to put it, what location to put it. So I'm going to set mine on the desktop. And I'm going to call it Test 1. Yes, allow it to create the folder. And OK. Now you can see that the tool did a little bit of thinking, and now over here in our Solution Explorer panel, we can see there's the directory test1, and right now all it has in it is a file called webconfig. So if we wanted to go see this, we could jump to our desktop. Here's the folder test1 that we created, and there's the file web.config that's in the folder. Now that we've got this set up, the first thing let's do is add a directory. So we're going to right click. We're going to come up here to the directory and right click it and do add new folder. And we're going to call it app _data, capital A and capital D. And app data is where we would put any external calls that we're going to do, or any kind of external programming or anything. It's also where we'll stick databases and things like that. So it's mostly we're going to use it for the databases, to have a location to put our databases. The other thing, well, let's go ahead and create a page. So we can right click this and do add new item. Whenever we want to add an ASP page, in this lingo, it's called a web form. So we can click that. Visual Basic. Make sure, down here's where we can name it, whatever we would like to name it. Let's just leave it as default for now. And then we can check to place the code in a separate file. We want to make sure that's checked. Okay, now that we've done that, we can see default.aspx is here. .aspx is the file extension for our ASP.NET files. We can also see there's a file associated with it here, so if we click that, this is going to be the code behind file. So it's named exactly the same, it just has the .vb file extension. So this is where we can put some of our event handlers and those kinds of things that we'll call from the page. So when we come over here to look at this now, we can see when we're looking at the tool overall, we have the Solution Explorer. We can have the Database Explorer. Right now we don't have any databases created or anything, so not much to see there now. So we'll stay on Solution Explorer. Over here we have the different views. We can have the source view that looks like the HTML code that you've been working with. We can also have the design view. And with the design view, here we're looking at the GUI interface for this. Notice with ASP, the ASP page starts off here to tell the HTML we're going to be doing some kind of scripting here. So when this hands up to the ASP engine for parsing, we're going to start here using this. It's going to tell the ASP engine we're going to use VB. It could be C#, but in this case it's VB. The other thing that's important is it lists out the code behind file. So this should all be done for you. You shouldn't have to make any changes up here, but if you have something going on, if you're trying to do something custom, troubleshooting or something like that, then you might want to check those settings. Where we see run at server, this is the part that will be parsed by the ASP engine. So the head, the ASP engine will look up here in the head to see if it needs to do anything. And then also down here in the body tag, we created a form, give it a unique ID of form 1, run at server. So everything within this form tag will be picked up and parsed and look for any ASP code. We've got the div. All right. So we open body, close body, open form, close form, open div, close div. And then I've just got a couple of returns in there to space it out a little. Split view is exactly like you would expect. You can see the GUI on top and the code below. So if we get in the middle here, we can do hello world. So from design view, that's what it looks like. We can save this. And now if we would like to view this in our browser, we can just simply highlight the file. You can right click it and do view in browser. You can also highlight it and click here, view in browser. When you do this, the mini web server will fire up and it will go into the directory and show you the file, show you your file. So right now it's not terribly exciting. This is real time. As you make changes, save them, you can refresh the browser and see your changes. One other thing to talk about here are the toolboxes. The toolboxes, there are a few of them: standard, data validation, navigation, etc. If you come down here to the HTML toolbox, if you select these, it's true HTML, just like we've been programming up until now. Everything else, all the rest of these, are going to be ASP controls. There's two different ways you can put a control on the page. The first and probably the easiest way is to take your cursor and put it where you want that control to be. Come over here to the toolbox. We're going to pick in the standard toolbox, we're going to pick a label control and just simply double click it, and now it appears. And if we select it, now we notice the properties window down here starting to fill in. So remember we talked about classes, objects, properties, methods, those kinds of things. So label is a class. This one particular instance of the label on our web page becomes an object. So we want to give it a unique name that like no other on the page. So I'm going to just name mine LBL1. So LBL1 refers to this one particular label. If we had a second label on here, we would call it LBL2, a third label, LBL3, etc. The other thing that I want to do here within this properties is remove the text that's there currently. I want it to just be a blank label. So now what I've basically done was added an ASP label control. I've put it there. I've given it a unique name that uniquely identifies it on this page, and I've blanked out the text just so the control's there. It's ready for action. The next thing that I'm going to add, I'm going to go into the code behind. All right, and the code behind, this is where we can put our routines and our subroutines and whatnot that will take action when certain events happen. So remember when we said we had an event that would fire? This is what we're talking about here. So our event, we're going to do page events, load. So when the page loads, so when this first pulls up in the browser, and now you notice that as soon as I completed that, it filled in the subroutine here. So now I can put what I want to happen when the page loads. So when the page loads, I want to fill in that label control, LBL1. I want to fill in the text property of that label control. I want to add some just text. I just want the text parsed out to the label. I'm going to concatenate. I'm going to use the and sign to concatenate. And then I'm going to enter in the VB control that I want. Date, time, now, to long date string. So what we should see now is when the event page load fires, it's going to print into the text property of that label, welcome, it is now. It's going to concatenate the date and time. So let's give this a test. We'll save all, so we want to save all of our changes on default and default.vb. We'll come over here and view it in the browser. And it's behaving like we expected it to.